Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, when I was a Carroll County Commissioner during the 4 years of purgatory, I'll call it, one of the things that we had to do was convene as the Board of Health for Carroll County. And during my tenure, our health officer retired at one point, and we were tasked with the responsibility of hiring and or appointing a replacement. And we did. So as elected officials accountable to the people of Carroll County, we had the responsibility to hire the health officer. A position, by the way, which anybody knows who's been paying attention, has vested in it broad power. So it seems to me, intuitively, just as a matter of logic, that a health officer should be able to be removed using the same process. Because I have to tell you, making unelected health officers accountable to practically no one is just not sound public policy. Just like any other local department head. The health officer runs the health department. The director of planning runs the local planning department. The economic development director runs the Department of Local Economic Development at the local level. Just like any of those folks, they should answer, in my opinion, to the local elected officials, plain and simple. Now, I know that in some jurisdictions over the last couple years, health officers have achieved almost deified status. I know that. Maybe those folks who think that way didn't get anguish calls from distressed business people, sometimes on the brink of tears, because of, at least from their perspective, the arbitrary actions of the local health department. I'm here to tell you, I got a ton of those calls. And more often than not, it was heart-wrenching. The bottom line is this: everybody should be accountable to somebody, including health officers. I'm voting no, Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm also voting no. So in the bill testimony under MAKO, it says, in a situation in which a health officer was to disregard local, state, and federal guidance, the breach of public trust, the bill would potentially protect them from termination or prolong their termination process. And I believe that's correct, and I can illustrate it. If you look at the bill summary, it talks about 10 days of receiving notice, and then after that, the officer that is to be terminated can go for an appeal. So I've talked to some of our legal folks. The problem I have is that the bill is silent based on the default position of whether the person who's due to be terminated would remain in that position during their appeal. An expedited appeal would be at least 20 to 30 days, plus the 10 days. A non-expedited appeal could be 6 or 8 months, in which a person who has had a breach of public trust could remain in that position. So for all of those reasons, I will be voting no. Thank you.
Gentlelady from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm going to tell you what this bill feels like to me. There are 2 counties that have had issues with their health officers in the last few years, both of them primarily populated by the minority party. This bill feels like a direct attack on local courtesy. You are attacking our ability in our own counties to make decisions about our health officers. We talk a lot on this floor about local courtesy. I think we can all agree, hopefully, that it's dying a very slow and painful death. And this bill is just another giant nail in the coffin. That's how it feels to those of us who live in the counties who are clearly being attacked with this.
I'd like to speak on this bill a little bit.
Go right ahead.
As you all know, I don't speak a whole lot on the floor, but this is an issue that I feel I need to. Having served on Board of County Commissioners in Calvert County for 12 years, which I considered it to be heaven, because truly I could work with the citizens on a very close basis, and I got to hear all their problems in the grocery store, in my establishment that I ran for 40-some years, and they knew where to come and see me when they had a problem. During them 12 years, I sat on the board of health during that process, and we had, during that period, the opportunity to interview a new gentleman for the health department director. Now, the previous health department director that we had in Calvert County was somewhere between 35 and 40 years of tender. So it was a process that it hadn't been done in a very long time. So we took a very, very important approach and did major interviews for this job. The gentlemen that we interviewed were all very good people, and we tried to pick the one that we felt would be the best for the citizens of Calvert County and the best to follow our rules and our regulations. And I think we did, to a point. But there's more to this job as health director than just knowing the regulations and being a medical person. It's dealing with people. When you go to the doctor or you are in the hospital and you have a health problem and you meet a new doctor, hopefully when you do, they give you confidence in their decision making and what they're going to do to help heal you. My favorite saying about doctors is the greatest doctor in the world is the one that heals you and makes you better. Doesn't matter about his education or his thought process or his politics or anything. If he makes you better, he's the greatest doctor in the world for you. But when things happen, whether it be personality-wise, bedside manner, or whatever, and you lose confidence in that individual, you tend to second-guess everything he tells you, and you go forward thinking, maybe I shouldn't do this way, or maybe I should get a second opinion. That's what has happened in a lot of cases during this pandemic. A lot of people have a lot of different opinions on how we should have moved forward with it, on how things should have been shut down, and how masks could be worn for how long, and the amount of shots and things and all that went through. I was the first person to step up and take up for our health inspector in Calvert County because I was part of the hiring of this gentleman. But once you start to lose the confidence of your citizens, the thing we have to remember is the citizens, not the individual politicians and the people that are in control of this gentleman, whether he's any gentleman that's going to stay or not. Once you lose that respect and confidence with the people of your jurisdiction, you have to step back and take a look at it. I'm sure none of the health inspectors in the state of Maryland made all the right decisions. Some of them made them better than others, depending on your opinion, and some of them made them worse. But the main thing to me is the confidence of the citizens. Because when they lose confidence, they're going to second guess everything that comes out of that health department in any county, whether I should get a booster, whether I should get a second shot. We need health directors that have the confidence of the citizens and the respect of the citizens. And when we don't have that, to me, that's even more important than some of the knowledge they may have about running a health department, because they always have staff there to help them. So I'm not going to be able to vote for this bill. I think that this job should be controlled by the local people and the local county commissioners and the local county executives and councils, and that we should let this progress the way the people of the individual counties feel the best confidence in the individual that has that job. I thank you.
Madam Speaker. Gentleman from Frederick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wasn't planning on getting up on this bill, and then I remembered a very specific instance that happened in Frederick County. So I wanted to start off by saying it's pretty clear that the purpose of this bill is to make it more difficult to remove a health officer. It's fair to say. My concern is when someone with that sort of authority can make an arbitrary decision. And I'm just going to quickly define what an arbitrary decision is. You type it into Google search, this is what pops up. It says a decision based on random choice or personal whim rather than any reason or system. And below that it says unrestrained and autocratic in the use of authority. And the reason I say that is because about a year and a half ago, there was a decision, I believe, that came out of the administration that required individuals to be approximately 6 feet apart, and it applied to churches. And I remember getting inundated from individuals in my district, in my community, with the frustration related to that. It was very controversial. And to add insult to injury, our local health officer came out and said, oh, no, 6 feet's not good enough. In Frederick, it's 7 feet apart in churches. And I couldn't believe it. To me, that was the very definition of arbitrary. I spoke about it on the radio. I talked to constituents. They thought 7 feet would save people in Frederick in churches. And so for that reason, I'm voting against this bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.